Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It's Garland here bringing you another Neverwinter video. Today's video is going to be the highlight video for the state of the game live stream that the developers had earlier in today. Today is March 7th, 2017. And they basically just had a developer stream that discussed the state of the game and future stuff. There won't be any gameplay in this video. It's basically going to be a podcast. There won't be any visuals whatsoever. So you can feel free to play the video in the background and just listen. I'm going to go over some of the highlights so you guys don't have to watch the whole stream. The stream was about an hour long. I will leave a link in the description to the full stream if you would like to watch the entire stream. Julia Fredrickson, who is the community manager for Cryptic, was there. Andy Wong, who is a community manager for PWE/Cryptic. He's a community manager for both aspects. And then also Thomas Foss, who doesn't make his appearance often, but he does come around once around. And he's the lead designer for Neverwinter. He's the lead designer for Cryptic. So those three got together. The first half of the stream was pretty slow. They basically talked about Mod 11, why it came to be. Thomas had mentioned that he wanted to basically come back home. We spent a great deal in the frozen wasteland, the frozen north. Well, he wanted to come back home, basically. So the first half of the stream, they talked about just lore of D&D, the actual lore behind the new maps and everything. Moving right along, they also talked about some of the Mod 11 game mechanics and how it's going to impact the future of the game overall. For instance, the new skirmish, like Illusionist Gambit, there's many different instances of it. It's not going to be the same all the time. So there'll be different aspects like that puzzle effect. And they would like to continue that game mechanic. So that way the content doesn't get as stale. Because you're going to be farming Illusionist Gambit, for instance, a very long time, to get the companion gear that you need. There's so many combinations of the companion gear that you're going to have to farm that instance. Well, they wanted to make it a little different. That way it's different every time you do the instance, so it's not the same. So it just doesn't get stale. And they also brought to light like the new campaign, where you can actually make choices and go different routes than everyone. That way it's not the same. Everyone isn't going to be the same. And they want to continue that route throughout the rest of the game's life, I guess, for, however long that may be. But I agree with it. I kind of like it that way. It's not boring, even if you grind the same dungeon over and over again and it's different every time, it's still going to be boring in the long run, but at least it brings a different aspect to the game. That way it's not 100% the same skirmish every time. Moving right along, for Mod 11.5, this is a big announcement. Guilds are getting redesigned again. They wanted to change the amount of resources and everything that it takes to level up to level 20. That way smaller guilds can catch up. I don't know what the exact ratios are going to be or any of that. They don't really go into details. They just kind of hint toward things. But the major announcement is that apparently in 11.5, it's mostly going to be about guilds. It's mostly going to be about strongholds. They hinted very heavily that strongholds are going to increase. I don't know how much. The max is right now is level 20 stronghold, so we might see an increase to level 25. We may even see an increase all the way to level 30. I'm not sure. Like I said, they don't, release specific info, but they did hint to it very heavily. So you can expect it in 11.5 that, guild halls are going to be increasing. There's also going to be a new event. So we have Dragonflight, apparently there's going to be a brand new event as well. So we don't really have that much info on it. They just said that there is going to be a new specific stronghold event. Something coming down the line, no release date or anything. It's very prototype-ish, Mr. Foss said. is a dual haul for the stronghold. So if you want to like 1v1 someone just to practice or to have some fun, they're going to take part of the stronghold, and there's going to be a specific area just for PvP. I don't know if you can like 2v2 or free for all, or if it's going to be like literally an arena, or if it'll be like an instance will be created where you can literally only 1v1 someone. I'm not sure. I don't even think they're sure. This is all on their side of the things. Like I said, they're just prototyping it. So we can see that maybe before the end of the year. Who knows? Maybe even next year. Who knows? Now, as far as Mod 11 goes for console, of course, they didn't officially give a release date, but they did hint again that it's definitely going to be coming in April. My guess is going to be April 11th. If you look at the calendar in game right now on the console, the calendar ends right at April 10th. April 11th is a Tuesday, so we could see Mod 11 coming to the console April 11th. At the very least, maybe the following Tuesday, which I think is like April 18th or something. But if I was a guessing man, April 11th seems to be release day for Mod 11 coming to the console. And also coming in Mod 11.5, loadouts. They did go into a little more detail about loadouts. Everybody basically is going to get one free loadout, which is amazing. They didn't have to do that. They could have made everyone pay for it. But once you get to level 30, everybody will have their first loadout unlocked. They didn't go into too much detail on what the loadouts will have. They did mention a few things like you can't change companions or mounts. So whatever companions you have equipped or whatever mounts you have equipped, you are still going to have to swap those out as needed. But basically, so if you have a PvP build and a PvE build, you'll be able to flip-flop interchangeably. Or if you have two PvE builds, maybe you have a PvE build for pure tanking, like say you're a Guardian fighter, for instance, you have a tanking build and you also have a DPS build. So if you flip-flop those loadouts, apparently, that's going to change everything. Your powers, your boons, and your complete build as well. But like I said, we don't have very many details. You can expect more details to come out with the loadouts fairly soon, because I'm going to guess that PC is probably going to get Mod 11.5 probably next month, April, I would guess, maybe late April. Don't quote me, nothing's official. They also had mentioned, they talked about PvP. A lot of people in the stream were getting very angry because I guess they're PvPers. PvP is useless to me. I really don't care, but it is an aspect of the game, and a lot of people still do it. They didn't really go into much details about PvP as a whole. The only thing they mentioned is that they do have new maps planned, coming, who knows when, down the line. PvP is going to be an ongoing thing, with class balancing and everything else. The Great Weapon Fighter, they did confirm that the unstoppable glitch is now fixed. Of course, this is on their end. I'm sure it'll be getting released on PC, whenever they can squeeze it into one of the builds. Console probably will get it when Mod 11 launches, but yeah, they did figure out the unstoppable glitch for the Great Weapon Fighters, and it is fixed. So whenever that rolls out, it'll be live. They did talk about the next class balance, not necessarily when. Now, we already know that they're working on the DC right now, the Cleric right now. So you should expect 11.5, maybe Mod 12, when you're seeing things finalized and being launched for the DC. But they were talking about the next one after that. And what they're considering is going to be the Trickster Rogue. So they're going to be class balancing the Rogue. Possibly. They're also throwing the Warlock in there again, I guess, because the first class balance really didn't do anything to the Warlock other than, obviously nerfing large amounts of damage from them. So they might do a combined class balance between the Rogue or the Warlock, or they solely might just focus on the Rogue. There's nothing released as far as time frame goes. We're probably talking, mod 13, 13.5, who knows. But yeah, they did mention that the TR is next with possibly the Warlock. They also mentioned the new class. They are actually working on a new class. It is in development. They didn't give any details about it. It might not even come out this year. It might be a next year thing, next January thing. They have a lot on their plate right now, obviously, but they are developing, a new class in the background during all their other stuff that they're working on. They haven't released any details or anything, but they did mention that they are, in fact, working on a new class. And then they did talk about Mod 12 briefly. They basically said there's a lot more rewards coming, how they added all the new loot during Mod 10, all the chest drops, the dungeon-specific drops in particular. Well, they're going to have a plethora of new rewards when Mod 12 does come around. They talked about the Foundry. They are trying to revamp the Foundry. They don't want to see it completely die out. But there's no date. There's no official information on it. They just mentioned that they are working on the Foundry. Of course, that's going to be for PC players. I doubt it's ever going to come to console. Mastercraft is getting a revamp, and that is coming soon. That's going to be coming with 11.5. Apparently, there's going to be maybe new recipes, new armor. Apparently, that's going to be able to coincide with the droppable armor. Not necessarily better than the relic armor, but it's going to be at least on par with the droppable stuff that they introduced. So that might, revitalize Mastercrafting, because that's pretty much fallen off the map. No one really uses Mastercraft anymore unless you PvP. I guess that's still a pretty decent set. They did mention that old dungeons with new tiers will be coming. We can slowly see that process happening, obviously, with Spell Plague coming back. And it now being a higher tier dungeon. Well, I guess they're going to be bringing back probably all of those old dungeons eventually at some point, and they will be scaled to end game content most likely. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, and this is a big one, and they necessarily didn't let it slip, but they didn't mean to really go into it, and they kind of did, so then they decided to talk about it. They are developing a new item, and it's going to be able to take... it's basically an unbind token, but don't don't get too excited about it. There are limitations to it. So basically, if you have a piece of gear that's bound to character, or an item that's bound to character, if you use this unbinding token, it's going to be bound to account. So then you can transfer it to other characters. Now, I see this as very, very overpowered. It's wonderful if it's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to be amazing because it's going to save a lot of time with different things. Like, for instance, if you have a character that you no longer play, but he's got 4 mythic artifacts on him, you can simply use this unbind token on one of those artifacts and change it to bound to account and then transfer it to a new tune. So just imagine the refinement points that you would be able to save. I don't like I said, there's no info out there, but they did talk about it, that they are in the process of making an unbind token. They said, it's going to be an asset and it's going to help out a lot, which it will. But like I said, I don't know. There's going to have to be definitely limitations on what you can use it on, obviously. If you're talking even like legendary mounts, if you have a legendary mount on a tune that you no longer play, well, are you going to be able to unbind that and then transfer it to a tune that you are now playing? How much are one of these tokens going to cost? Are we talking $20 per token, 2k Zen, maybe even more, 4k Zen, 5k Zen, $50 to unbind one item? I don't know, but don't expect that item to be released anytime soon. That's one of those things that's going to be down the line, probably mod 13, maybe even 14 before they ever get it figured out and working. But that's about it, guys. That's going to wrap it up. Hopefully this video isn't too long. Like I said, the official stream was about an hour. It looks like I was able to sum it up within about 15 minutes. So that's going to wrap it up for the video. If you guys have any questions, leave me a comment below. Like I said, I will leave a link in the description to the full stream. And we'll see you guys in the next video.